welcome to Coffee with Jude. I remember when I was a little girl and my dad and mom would pack up the car and we would drive. We had a station wagon and we drive for hours and hours and hours, and we make it to the Wisconsin Dells. And then we would stay overnight and we would wake up in the morning and hear the sound of the highway out there at the motel. And we knew that today we were going to get to go up north. And so every summer we did this. Then we'd get back in the car and we'd drive for another 5 hours or so. And finally we'd get to the hill and we wonder over every hill, is Minong going to be at the other end of the hill? Because Minong meant we were almost there. So then we would guess. And then when we look over the hill, we'd see the little town down there and we'd go, yay, Minong's here. And then we'd drive another maybe 5 miles and we'd get to the Togatik River. And we would go until we got to the bridge. And then we'd go Togatik. And we did that every year, every time we went over the Togatik River. And then we got to our cabin. And then when I got inside the cabin, oh, it was so fun. We were up on a hill and I could see the lake. And see, there's the lake out there, Bond Lake. And the wind would be blowing. And I'd run in the house and I'd open up my chest of drawers and I'd find my Indian doll with her moccasins and her leather dress that we got in Hayward and beaded top. And I'd be so excited to get back to my toys. So I remember so much about up north. It shaped my life because every summer we would spend 3 months up here. My dad used to work in Chicago, and Mom and Jeff and I would be up here. And then my dad would come up on the weekends on the train and we'd pick him up in Gordon. And it was exciting when Dad came, and then he'd take me fishing, and the rest of the time I would just play in the woods with the moss. And Jeff had his friend across the lake who was Jigsy, and they would hang out a lot and not want to have his little sister around so she could tattletale on him because they were smoking cigarettes, so they didn't want me around. And he was like 12, and he had a Model T that my dad bought him. Dad let him drive it to Wascott, which was 5 miles away, and he was only 12. And so all of us learned how to drive on these 2 rutted roads through the woods in a car when we were 12. So now today I live up here in the summers, and there's a picture of our cabin. You can see it over there through the trees. And I'm in the gazebo right now. And down there's the dock with the boats. And Bond Lake is 365 acres, and it's 80 feet deep, and it's crystal clear water. And so it's a wonderful place to live and spend the summers. We've got a lot of daisies growing in our meadow, and the blueberries are green right now, but there's lots of them, and so pretty soon we'll have blueberries. So this session is about a writing exercise where you say, I remember, and then you write, and then you write, I remember, and then you write again. So let's see, what else can I remember? I remember when I was 2 or 3, I was using this pump on the dock. It was used to siphon water out of boats, and it took a lot of pressure to pull it up and down. I stuck it in the water, and I fell in the water. And I remember being so scared, just so quiet. and I couldn't find the bottom of the water, of the lake. And Uncle Phil and Mom were on the beach, and so Uncle Phil ran over and he pulled me out of the water, and I was so scared. That was a traumatic thing. So I don't know, I've always been a little bit scared of the water. I don't like that feeling of not being able to breathe underwater. That was another little memory I have. But most of my memories of up north are good. A lot of them are a little sad because I felt very lonely. I didn't have many kids my age to play with. I didn't have any really, except when Jackie's family came up and we could play together, and I loved that. And I was very lonely in the summers. Now it's a big different deal. Now I've got friends I've met through pickleball, and friends that I've met golfing, and friends at tennis, and do a lot of things with my friends and my family here on the lake. There's my brother Jeff and my niece Jenny and my other niece Angie and Michael, and a lot of family come up to visit, and a lot of them have cabins on the lake. And then over about 5 miles away, my sister has a old farmhouse that she bought a long time ago. She had 10 kids, and they all share this place we call Manna Bear, and it's got its own lake, and the kids love fishing and hanging out together over there at Manna Bear. My sister's kids are, 2 of them have already died, Kate and Tom. So there's 8 of them left, and they're all working it out, managing Manna Bear. So I'm very fortunate to have my family and to have Bond Lake. So tune into this video, and I hope you can write some great stories about I remember, I remember. Okay, bye.
In this exercise, we'll get more practice with activating the memory spots in our brain. It's kind of like watering a drooping plant. The more you pour the water on the plant, the more it grows and it branches out. And that's what happens when you activate those parts of your brain that have these memories. The more you remember, the more you activate those spots. The smells, the sights, the colors, everything will come alive the more you do it. So this exercise will help you sift out your story. You might find something that you want to write about that you hadn't even thought about. So what you do is you set the timer for 20 minutes and you start. You go, I remember, and then finish it. And then when you get done with that paragraph or that memory, then you start again. I remember. So do that for 20 minutes. I think you'll be amazed at the things you can remember once you start writing about it. I remember the day Kennedy got shot and how the nuns turned the TV on so we all could watch. She came in the room and said, "An awful thing has happened. Our president has been shot." I thought, oh, that doesn't mean that he died. We all sat in our 8th grade classroom, glued to the TV, and didn't have to do math class. I wanted to tell you about a book by Joe Brainerd. He wrote the whole book using the prompts I remember, each prefaced by the refrain, I remember. I remember when I thought that if you did anything bad, policemen would put you in jail.